11th of March, 1957, 2:09 a.m., the basement holding cage beneath the 28th precinct smelled of bleach and sweat. Bumpy Johnson was shackled to a steam pipe, 2 feet from a rusted furnace, 5 armed guards circling him, a fresh indictment promising 35 years. Captain Clark Whitaker, 6'4", pearl-handled Colt, drawn, sneered. Harlem's ape finally wears chains. Everyone expected Bumpy to leave that room in a body bag. But what Whitaker didn't know, Bumpy Johnson had been memorizing every floor plan of the precinct for 11 nights. 6 hours later, at 8:14 a.m., Whitaker's badge lay on the commissioner's desk, marked Demoted to Patrolman. His face sagged like wet plaster. The same 5 guards now stood in internal affairs cells, speechless. This is the story of the night a single word cost a captain his stripes. Night Harlem never forgot. How did Bumpy flip a locked basement into a promotion ceremony for himself? Harlem's 28th precinct sat at 2271 8th Avenue, a granite block nicknamed the Fort. Built in 1909, it housed 4 floors of cells, 2 interrogation bunkers, and 1 evidence vault stuffed with narcotics worth $2,900,000 on the street. Officially, Captain Clark Whitaker commanded 72 officers, but the real power flowed through the vice squad he handpicked. 19 men, who boasted of 27 justified shootings since 1952. They ran protection for the numbers racket, collected $11,400 weekly from local bars, and beat confessions out of anyone daring to complain. Bumpy Johnson, 51, stood apart. Technically a recently paroled numbers banker, he operated a reading room on 147th Street, paid college tuition for 12 neighborhood kids, and kept precise files on police graft. The tension mattered because New York's Civilian Complaint Review Board, founded the 18th of December, 1953, had never stripped a white officer of rank. Whitaker's spotless record, 0 sustained complaints in 18 years, looked unbeatable. Between the granite walls, whispers claimed the captain was untouchable. Promoted 3 times, testified in 9 high-profile murders, and won 2 Medal of Valor citations. Facing that resume, most men folded. Bumpy studied it like a chessboard, looking for the single square the captain forgot in the dark. Flashback 4 weeks earlier, the 10th of February, 1957, 6:45 p.m., Lenox Lounge was packed with 60 regulars watching Sugar Ray on the Philco. Whitaker barged in with 3 patrolmen, shut off the set, and barked, "Code check." Bumpy, sipping lemon tea at the back booth, answered, "You've got no warrant." The captain stepped closer, dropped his voice, and spat the N-word loud enough to hush the saxophone. Glasses froze mid-air. Bumpy's chin never moved, but his right hand recorded the time in the little red memo book he always carried. Whitaker's ego flared. He yelled, "20 minutes to clear this dump, or every one of you walks on vagrancy." That night, officers smashed 8 bottles of scotch, confiscated $640 from the till, and arrested Bumpy's driver, Lenny Car Keys Martin, on a bogus gun charge. February 14, 3:12 a.m. Lenny returned from holding with a broken jaw. February 16, police raided Bumpy's Policy Bank at 409 West 141st, seizing ledgers holding $18,450 in bets. February 19, 2 unmarked Fords tailed Bumpy's wife Mamie to the Apollo and slashed her white wall tires $96 each while laughing. Each blow was personal, and Whitaker made sure the neighborhood knew who swung the club. Bumpy seemed to absorb it. He cut payroll by $1,100, closed the policy office, and sat for hours in the Schomburg Center reading municipal budgets. Junie Bird asked, "Boss, when we swing back?" Bumpy answered, "When the board says mate." Nobody understood the line, but he wrote it beneath a sketch of the precinct basement. February 23, he attended a community meeting where Whitaker strutted like a politician, boasting crime was down 18%. Reporters scribbled. Bumpy, silent in the rear row, noted which microphone carried the city seal. By March 5, Whitaker felt invincible. He'd humiliated Harlem's most calculating man, stacked charges, and dented pockets. At 7:40 p.m. that night, while Bumpy logged another entry, clue, radiator valve, even his allies whispered that the King of Harlem looked whipped. That evening, Whitaker bragged at Charlie's Tavern, "Johnson's finished by Easter." Papers echoed him, forecasting a grand jury by April 6. Outside, freezing rain hit Harlem while Bumpy walked alone, whispering, "Steam wins chess." The 10th of March 1957, 9:55 p.m., Bumpy strolled past the precinct's side alley, carrying a brown parcel the size of a shoebox. Detective Milo Griggs, lurking for overtime, spotted him and radioed, "Package in hand, probable dope." Bumpy kept walking, never breaking stride, letting the cardboard tear just enough for white powder to leak. Within 90 seconds, squad cars boxed him in. Whitaker led the charge, grinning, "Caught you flagrant." Bumpy offered no protest. He even said, "Captain, mind the steam pipe downstairs. It rattles." During booking, the powder tested plaster of Paris, but Whitaker still signed an emergency hold. Obstruction. He ordered Bumpy thrown into the basement cage, the hottest room in the building because the main boiler sat inches away. The march down took 4 minutes, handcuffs, elevator, corridor. On the way, Bumpy dropped 3 folded notes. One in the elevator shaft, one beside the electric panel, one beneath the cage door. Guard Stanley Russo cursed, kicked them aside, never seeing the names. Junie Bird, Congressman Powell, Attorney Oppenheim. Whitaker thought he was stage managing humiliation. He stationed 5 guards, locked the outer grate, and shut the basement telephone. He bragged upstairs, "Nobody hears him till dawn." But exactly what he shut off became the trigger. By closing the precinct line, Whitaker forced all outgoing calls to route through Central Dispatch at 11 Center Street, where Bumpy's cousin Dietrich sat on the night switchboard. Inside the cage, Bumpy flexed his wrist until the cuff ratchet clicked backward. He had filed one tooth smooth days prior. He reached the note hidden under his collar. A carbon copy of Whitaker's slur, signed by 23 witnesses at the Lenox Lounge and notarized for $4 on February 24. He folded it into a cigarette wrapper and slid it through the drain grate toward guard Frank Monahan, whispering, "Your brother Tom owes me $4,000. Earn a discount." Monahan's eyes flickered. 10 minutes later, the note rode upward inside a lunch pail. Meanwhile, Junie retrieved the elevator shaft note, rode to the 3rd floor evidence room, swapped a ledger showing $21,700 in seized bets now missing. Oppenheim phoned the mayor's liaison at 10:31 p.m., presenting a bundle. Racial slur. Missing funds. Blocked phone. Powell dialed the Amsterdam news editor. Captain uses N-word, steals Harlem's money, holds witness in boiler. Midnight headline set. By 11:48 p.m., internal affairs vans rolled. Whitaker poured bourbon in his office, clueless. The trap sat ready. Sunrise would spring it hard. 3:07 a.m. March 11. Internal Affairs Lieutenant Maria Delgado opened the precinct safe and found only 2 brown envelopes instead of the expected 21. Ledger tags matched serial numbers Junie had duplicated a week earlier at a midtown print shop. Delgado's brows knitted. She radioed downtown. Here's how Bumpy choreographed that confusion months in advance. The 1st of December 1956, he paid $212 to the Municipal Archives for blueprints of every precinct built before 1910. December 4. He bought a used Remington typewriter for $19 and taught Junie to mimic precinct report fonts. January 9. He arranged a $6,000 loan to Tom Monahan, quietly securing Frank's loyalty. February 2. He delivered 2 crates of Columbia encyclopedias to Dietrich, each spine hollowed to hide switching diagrams. While Whitaker cracked jokes, Bumpy stitched nets. Domino 1 fell when Whitaker cursed in the lounge and the notarized affidavit was created. Domino 2 was the blocked phone line, automatically logged by Central Dispatch's switchboard when calls exceeded 90 seconds. Domino 3. The missing funds ledger, now officially checked out, to Whitaker's keycard thanks to Junie's forged log. Domino 4. Powell's 2 a.m. telegram to Governor W. Averell Harriman citing racially motivated false imprisonment. In the political climate of 1957, that phrase ignited Albany faster than kerosene. At 3:29 a.m., the Governor's Council ordered Deputy Commissioner Harold Smythe to resolve potential riot risk before dawn. Smythe rushed uptown, stormed Whitaker's office, and demanded explanations. The captain's hands trembled, bourbon glass rattling. He muttered, "Johnson's a con. None of this sticks." Smythe replied, "Your safe's light, your mouth's heavy, and Harlem's awake." Downstairs, Bumpy sat calm, pulse steady at 68 beats. Monahan unlocked the cage on Smythe's nod. Bumpy stood, dusted his $400 gray suit, and handed over the carbon affidavit. Smythe read the slur aloud. The boiler hissed like an audience. "Is this your signature, Captain?" he asked. Whitaker's face drained bleach white. He stuttered, "Coercion." 23 witness signatures glared back. Meanwhile, reporters from the Amsterdam News and the New York Post clustered outside. Powell spoke into a flashbulb storm. "Harlem doesn't beg for justice, it documents." Radio station WLIB broadcast live at 4:05 a.m. Warning of possible community action if Johnson wasn't released immediately. Smythe calculated. An officer's demotion could be signed locally. Firing required commissioner approval. He chose speed. At 4:37 a.m., he stripped Whitaker's captain bars, reassigned him to traffic detail on Staten Island, effective sunrise. The written order cited conduct unbecoming and failure to safeguard evidence. Whitaker's voice cracked. "I'm a metal man," Smythe replied. "Metals don't erase tape." Bumpy nodded once, whispered, "Game." The king had reached the last square. Whitaker finally understood he'd never been hunting, he'd been herded. Outside, the first blue streak of dawn lit Harlem, applauding silent strategy over shouted power forever. Sunrise broke at 6:14 a.m. The demotion order hit teletype across the city by 6:27. 43 precincts read the headline before roll call. Captain Whitaker busted to beat cop. Within 12 hours, 7 officers who had bragged of Lenox Lounge abuses filed sudden transfer requests. By the third day, Vice Squad receipts dropped from $11,400 to $2,250. Nobody wanted haunted money. Whitaker reported to Staten Island Traffic Post 32 on March 12, 7 a.m., wearing a borrowed uniform 2 sizes too large. Motorists counted. The once feared captain wrote 0 tickets, stared at storm drains, and ignored horns. 2 weeks later, the department placed him on unpaid leave pending grand larceny review for the missing evidence. He pawned his Medal of Valor for $38 on April 2. Meanwhile, Bumpy's stature skyrocketed. The same morning of the demotion, Commissioner Michael Murphy quietly reinstated Bumpy's revoked parole privileges for cooperation. That meant no phone taps, no car tails, and an implicit handshake immunity within Manhattan north of 110th. By March 20, policy bankers funneled an extra $7,600 in voluntary respect dues to Bumpy's desk. The reading room expanded. 4 additional scholarships were announced at $500 each. Policies changed too. On March 25, the Civilian Complaint Review Board adopted Johnson Clause, Rule 17(b). Any verified racial slur by an officer triggered automatic suspension pending hearing. Within a year, 8 officers faced that clause, none kept rank. Community leaders replicated Bumpy's methods, sworn affidavits, notarized timestamps, press leaks. Kids at P.S. 139 joked, "Get it in ink before you blink." As for Whitaker, the grand jury indicted him June 4 for embezzling $21,700. Bail set at $10,000. He couldn't post it. The man who once controlled a fortress now occupied cell 314 inches. Rikers, 2 doors from Lenny Martin, still nursing that mended jaw. Bumpy walked free, chessboard in pocket, boiler room behind him, Harlem ahead. Power doesn't sit in muscle. It sits in margins, those overlooked blank lines at the bottom of reports. That's the lesson Bumpy carved into Harlem memory the night a slur cost a captain his career. He didn't swing a fist, he swung paperwork, timing, and public shame. Strategy beat violence because systems, once exposed, attack themselves. Whitaker's own signatures, logs, and safe locks became prosecution exhibits. Bumpy simply positioned mirrors so the machine saw its rust. "Write it down," he'd tell young runners. "Ink outlasts bruises." That mindset defined his legend far beyond numbers games. Politicians courted him for quiet counsel. Activists quoted his affidavits in housing battles. In every arena, he proved that documentation plus distribution equals defense. Today, body cams and smartphone videos follow the same formula: evidence, witnesses, blast it wide before it's buried. Success, the story shows, favors anticipation over retaliation. Map the board, bait the ego, let the opponent march willingly into the square you've already mined. Bumpy's file boxes were more lethal than any pistol he ever carried. Remember the boiler room: heat rising, cuffs clicking, mind working. When cornered, think paper, think witnesses, think dawn coming. Victory often arrives in clerical ink, not gun smoke everlasting. The 11th of March, 1957, 29 a.m., 5 guards, 1 slur, and a captain fell before sunrise. If this cold-blooded strategy story showed you why paperwork beats pistols, smash that subscribe button. Drop a like if you respect brains over brawn. Comment: would you have waited or swung fists? Remember, evidence is the sharpest blade.